ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ Welcome to our program TV Sikh Sardar TV show program Sikh Sardar. Today we are going to talk about Sardar Sandeep Singh Dhaliwal, who was gunned down as a deputy sheriff in Houston, Texas. And we are going to talk about United Sikhs, their service to the community. And we have special guest, Sardar Gurvinder Singh ji, Gill. And please welcome Sardar Gurvinder Singh ji. Vaheguru ji ka khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki fateh.
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਤਾਂ ਇਸ ਦੀ ਤਹਿ ਦਿਲੋਂ ਧੰਨਵਾਦੀ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ we're eternally grateful for the opportunity to be able to showcase our message and the work that we do via ਆਪਣਾ ਸਾਂਝਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ and the show that you guys have organized Sikh Sardar very aptly titled and hopefully we can really relay a message of positivity, of inclusion, of empowerment and of service to make sure that we act upon the teachings of our gurus and ensure that the principles are aligned with our vision and our seva.
Yes, Sardar Gurvinder Singh ji, please tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you have a busy life and you got a lot going on, and you're a jack of all trades, and plus you're involved with the Census 2020 from a long time to work on the Census 2020 for the Sikhs, and then you're involved with the United Sikhs, their service to community all over the world. And please give us
So a little bit about myself. I'm an engineer by trade, a telecommunications engineer. But with the grace of Vaheguru, I worked in the field for a little bit, but then transitioned over to operating and running our own businesses. And right now I'm self-employed. I'm blessed to be self-employed. And, wife is a physical therapist. And I have two beautiful children, Tript Kaur and Amrik Singh. Amrik Singh is in 7th grade. Tript Kaur is in 5th grade. And she just competed in the spelling bee today, actually, virtually. So we were outside, celebrating and appreciating the work she has done and the energy she has put forth. In terms of the seva that I've been blessed to be involved with, United Sikhs is an organization that began in 1999 when a few individuals recognized that there was a lack of resources for the Sikh community, especially for immigrants, in terms of acclimating to the United States, understanding the resources that they have, have available to them, getting an understanding of the nuances of the English language, of the decorum and the means of what they're able to do and what they're able to accomplish in the United States of America, to not be cornered in or not to be boxed in by anyone else's understanding or anyone else's titles, but rather you can really open yourself up to the freedom and the opportunities that the United States provides. So the organization started with English as a secondary language, started with empowerment classes and coaching and training centers, started with teaching technology to those who were not proficient in computer skills, in typing skills. So really get them up to date on certain trades and certain skills that they could utilize in their lives. I was blessed to be a part of the organization since about 2002, 2003, and have gone on to serve in multiple disasters: Hurricane Katrina, Hurricane Rita, Hurricane Harvey. I've been to Pakistan for the earthquake that ravaged the region in 2005. I've been to Kenya in 2012 during the Great Famine of the the Horn of Africa, and there was a tornado in Oklahoma a few years back, and so we've been involved, and I've been able to serve in that capacity for many years. And with the blessings of Vaheguru, I am the International Humanitarian Aid Director for the organization. But at the end of the day, I'm a sevadar, right? We're all volunteers because none of these are positions of employment or in terms of pay. They're positions of service and of gratitude for being able to give back to the community and being able to live our ideals through our actions. So that's the humanitarian aid side. But United Six is also a global advocacy organization. You know, we when the ban on the turban struck France, then we fought back and were able to take this case to the French Supreme Court, to the European Court of Human Rights, ultimately taking it to the United Nations and getting victory for the Sikh faith. So that is something that is immeasurable. The Sikh faith, the Sikh Qaum, United Six, was able to take a country, France, to court in the United Nations and actually gain victory. In the United Nations, we have fought cases in the Belgian Supreme Court, we have fought cases in the Indian Supreme Court, and we have taken cases in the United States, the federal court, and many other municipalities as well, to ensure that we fight for the rights of the Sikh nation, the Sikh people. We fight for our identity. We fight against bullying. We fight against discrimination, and we fight against hate crimes. And we lobby and ensure that our voice is not only heard, but that our voice is felt. Because if you transgress upon the rights of a Sikh, then we want the Sikh nation to know that United States stand firmly behind you, not just in press releases or not just in statements, but in getting you those due rights through court, through fighting and through struggling and ensuring that those are, victories that we're able to give back to the Panth. So that is the advocacy. We are also involved in empowerment. Empowerment meaning when you have Sikh youth that feel ostracized, that feel neglected, when you have Sikh youth that feel bullied, then we ensure that they're not felt, they don't feel that they're alone. We empower them through, how do we empower them? First of all, through the teachings of our faith, through the teachings of our gurus, our shaheeds, the warriors, and the history and the blessings that we have, the unparalleled history that we are a part of, but also ensuring that they are privy to the rights that they have as individuals and as Americans that reside in this country. So they should never feel alone. They should never feel that they cannot speak up or they don't have anybody that can speak up for them. So those rights and that empowerment is done through conferences and seminars and camps that are held locally and nationally throughout the United States and globally as well, because United Six has 10 chapters in the world. So it's very important because sometimes we talk about, what is the voice of the Sikhs? How can we get our voice across? How can this uniform apparatus be utilized to really let people know or really let the world know or really let governments know that the Sikhs are united and the Sikhs are moving forward diligently and with a positive message, but also with strength. So we have chapters in India, in Pakistan, in Malaysia, in the UK, in Canada, in Kenya, in France. So, this is what allows us to really provide relief and assistance to Sikhs, to the Sikh nation anywhere in the world. I would like to say that we are a 911 for the Sikh community. So if you're in trouble, what do you do in the United States? You call 911. Okay, we need help. We need someone to come and assist us. Who is that for the Sikh community? We are nationless. So who do we go to? Who do we call? We wanted to ensure that a Sikh child living in Europe or a Sikh child living in Asia or Africa or South America or America didn't feel that there wasn't anyone he could turn to or she could turn to. Didn't feel that there was anybody that wouldn't reach out to them and help them. So United Six is a 911 globally for the Sikh nation and the Sikh Panth. It is a structure set up for the Sikh Panth, and we like to say United Six is an organization for the Sangat, by the Sangat, and of the Sangat. And it's run by volunteers. We have salaried individuals, for example, lawyers and operation managers, but the board of directors and the trustees are all volunteers. Someone is a doctor by profession, someone is an executive by profession, someone is in the financial field by profession. Someone is self-employed by profession, but everyone may have a different profession, but their passion is the key. Their passion is to make sure that they're able to do something for the faith and for the community and for our people and for our generation that can look at us and say that when there was a need, we had individuals who would stand by us and who would make an impact and who would help us out and who would never let us feel that we are alone.
Yes, Sardar Gurvinder Singh ji, you said everything in one breath, and that's a whole lot of stuff. That's a Sikhi. Sikhi stands
Gee,
for Seva, and that's a
absolutely.
great deal. That's a great deal what you guys do. You take care of yourself, take care of your family, and you take care of everybody in the community and all over the world where it's needed. Um, I have a question for you that when youngsters who are your age or some younger than you, or maybe my age,
Gee,
and they
gee,
want to join United Sikhs and they want to give their service and they want to give their seva
gee,
and they want to donate. And would you put
gee.
some your words on that, please?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Faisal, I'm glad you asked that question because we have two vibrant opportunities right now. There's a Hurricane Laura struck the Gulf Coast. Unfortunately, because a lot of media coverage is not provided for the damage that has occurred, a lot of us don't know, to the extent of what has occurred. But our volunteers are there in Louisiana, in Lake Charles. In fact, there's a Gurdwara there in Lake Charles. Sri Dashmesh Sahib, and I'll get the exact name actually. It is Gurdwara Sri Dashmesh Darbar Sahib. That was damaged. The Granthi Singhs who are there, Jarnail Singh Ji, his home was damaged. The roof was flown off. And he told us when we were talking to him that there's not a home in Lake Charles that has not been impacted. That there's not a home that has, the windows are not broken or the roof is not blown off or the insulation has not been removed. So maybe from the outside it looks like the structure is there, but when they're going into their homes, they see that the damage is very visible and very evident. So our volunteers tier teams are in Louisiana. So if anybody wishes to volunteer, please let us know. If anybody wishes to donate, please let us know. If anybody wishes to donate their not just their funds but their time, their energy, if you're a writer, if you can fundraise, if you are good at social media, if you can market, if you can help with technology, for example, with websites, development, and so forth. If you can help in any which way, shape, or form, if you could do graphics, if you're a lawyer, doesn't matter the skill you have. If you want to utilize it for the betterment of the community, please let us know. And the easiest way to get in touch with us is united6.org. So UNITEDSIKHS.org. You can donate your time, you can donate your resources, and you can donate your money. So that's the opportunity that we have in Louisiana. Now, also, everyone is probably aware of the fires that are ravaging California and Oregon. We have multiple teams that have been deployed in the Gulf Coast area. I'm sorry, in the Bay Area of California, and also in Los Angeles, that have been providing food, providing meals, providing daily essentials, providing medication for those who are impacted by the fires. We also have a truck that has been prepared and loaded with supplies in Seattle that we will be taking to Oregon in the next few days, and we'll update the Sangat about that as well. So if you want to donate your time, resources, or funds to that effort, please let us know. So those are national efforts. Now we have the Afghan Sikh issue. When in March 25th, when the terrorist and the cowardly attack in the Gurdwara in, Shor Bazaar in Kabul, Afghanistan occurred, ironically, this was the Sangat that was there to do ardas for the coronavirus. They were to do ardas. The coronavirus has impacted the world. This pandemic has adversely and tragically impacted millions of lives globally. They were to do ardas for mankind. And that is when this coward, this terrorist came in and blindly shot, multiple brothers and sisters of ours, and over 25 brothers and sisters, they were killed during this attack. We knew that we must act. So we utilized all of our resources and were able to provide resources within few days of this attack to the families that were killed and injured. Not only that, we continued to liaise with those on the ground in Afghanistan, in Ghazni, in Jalalabad, and in Kabul, because there are three cities that Sikhs reside in. There are 656 Sikhs total. I would like to say there were over 100,000 about 30 years ago. There are only 656 left that were left. Now, hundreds have come across to India. But while the need was there against and then these are individuals who are laborers who own their own businesses, small shops. First of all, the atmosphere is of terror. They're scared for their lives because they're being threatened. There are multiple attacks that occurred afterwards. Even for the funeral procession for those that were killed, there were bombs that were lined along that procession. So, in this atmosphere of fear, of terror, you also have the coronavirus. So everything is shut down. You're not able to work. So how were our brothers and sisters able to survive? What could they have done? So we realized that we must provide a second round of assistance. So every single one of those 656 Afghan Sikh Hindu brothers and sisters were provided assistance as well. Then we recognized that they must be provided temporary shelter. So we were able to get passports for 373 Afghan Sikh and Hindus who either did not have passports or whose passports would be expiring very soon and they were not able to get a visa on them. So, this is assistance that were provided in Afghanistan, and many organizations were saying that is too difficult, we're not able to go. We recognize that if we are a global organization, we must utilize our resources and provide for our brothers and sisters in need. And that was able to get done. Now, while this was happening, you have Afghan Sikh brothers and sisters who are refugees in Delhi. You have Afghan Sikh brothers and sisters who are refugees in Pakistan. We had a family that was fighting for asylum in Germany, and they were going to be deported in 2 weeks. This Taran Singh Khatri, he heard about what United States was providing in Afghanistan. He heard that United States is helping those Afghans in need, and he reached out to us. So Udam Singh ji, we thought that we're helping our brothers and sisters in Afghanistan escape persecution and resettle elsewhere. How would it look if one of our, brothers and sisters, our brother whose family is fighting to survive and stay in Germany was deported back to Afghanistan? That would have been a black mark on the entire nation, on the entire Sikh community. So we urgently mobilized our resources through our chapter in the UK. We were able to find out what the needs are. We were able to touch base with the family. And then also we ensured that we got him a stay. So that family is safe and secure in Germany now. And those families that have been able to leave for India, roughly 400 of our Afghan Sikh brothers and sisters have been able to go. Others will be following them. We have opened an Afghan desk in Delhi because we're affiliated with the United Nations. So United Sikhs is the only Sikh organization that has been blessed to be affiliated with the United Nations. And because of that, we recognize the means and the modicum and the methodology and the way to proceed and ensure that it is done correctly, it is done steadfastly, and it is done according to the parameters set by the United Nations, because if we want to be refugees or get paperwork completed or get anything in accordance on a global scale, we must do it according to their ramifications. So what they do is whenever you have an exodus of refugees, they have a desk that is open. We knew that we need to do this on our end. We cannot rely on anyone else. So we have an Afghan desk at Delhi that is helping those families, and have families and thousands of those who have resided in Delhi before because they have escaped persecution from Afghanistan. 2008, there was a bombing in Jalalabad. So scores of families, hundreds of families, left Afghanistan then, and they're still in need. So the Afghan desk, what does it do? It helps them. There's a caseworker there that does intake. So all of the documentation gets help. They get helped out on the documentation. So Aadhaar card, getting the proper documentation filled out for the UNHRC, which is the United Nations Human Human Rights Commission, and then we also ensure that legal assistance is provided for those that need it. We ensure that medical assistance is provided. We ensure humanitarian assistance is provided. We ensure that education and technical skills are provided. So, just a few days ago, I'll give an example that, because a lot of individuals, and we would like to recognize them, stepped up because this is a huge effort for Afghani Sikhs, and it has to be a global effort. Multiple organizations must take part. So, we would like to thank individuals such as Kajinder Singh Ji, such as Paramjit Singh Bedi, such as Dalip Singh Ji Sethi, who have sponsored these families and the airfare and them lodging. But we recognize that there will always be families with instances that come up on an emergency level that will fall through the cracks that we must help, because it happens in multiple other relief efforts that we've done. We have the experience and we knew that was going to happen. So just a few days ago, there was a young child, 3 years old. She had pneumonia and was very sick. And these families didn't know where to go. They're reaching out, they're making calls. And as you know, if a child is sick, we all know that if we're sick, we can bear it. But if our child is sick, we will move heaven and earth. So when that child was sick, they were shrieking for help and in pain. And they knew, because Surbir Singh was in touch with us in Afghanistan. He has resettled in Delhi. He knew about it. He said, he talked to our team on the ground. He said, I've spoken to Gurvinder Singh, and you guys have done such a great effort helping us in Afghanistan. Please help us out now. We have nowhere else to turn. And we ensured on that same day, Parvinder Singh Ji and our team in Delhi took that child, took that family, took these representatives to the hospital, got them the correct medical attention and care, and were able to move them from a government hospital to a private hospital where the care would be better, would be more enhanced, and that child now, with the grace of Vaheguru, is doing well. So these are a few examples that that we are dealing with right now, and another aspect of what we are providing assistance on is the census, because Udam Singh, and every one of our brothers and sisters know, the Sikh identity is unique. No other faith is ordained to wear a turban. No other faith is ordained to have a beard. You may or you may not, but in the Sikh tradition, in the Sikh faith, our mandates are that, you take Amrit, you walk upon this path, and you have a certain identity that is recognizable amongst thousands, recognizable amongst millions. So we recognize that identity is special, is particular, and it needs to be recognized. That the Sikh faith is distinct, that the Sikh identity is distinct. And because the Sikh faith and identity is distinct, our needs are distinct. So we were blessed that the Office of Management Bureau and the Census Bureau recognized that fact. And it recognized that Sikhs are not just a faith, but we're a race. Nasr Kenya. And in that case, they were able to allow us, because of the advocacy that United Sikhs has done for over a decade, because the census only occurs once every 10 years. So for over a decade, we have fought and struggled with the grace of Vaheguru and with the support of, Sikh organizations that have joined our effort and joined our call, because every Sikh in the world knows that Sikh identity is different, Sikh identity is unique and is distinct, and we must fight to preserve it. That Sikhism is a distinct faith. It has nothing in commonality with other faiths except for the fact that it's a faith. We are not a bridge. When I was in school, we were told we had two lines in our history book that Sikhism is a bridge between Hinduism and Islam. And I told the teacher that we're not infrastructure. Sikh dharm koi pull nahi hega. ਕਿਸੇ ਕੀ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਲੇ ਤੇ ਇਸਲਾਮ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿਚਾਲੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਆ. We appreciate and recognize all faiths, but we also appreciate and recognize our own faith, that it stands on its own merits, that it has its own identity, it has its own principles, and it has its own customs, without relation to any other faith or any other region in the world. So when we recognize that, when every other Sikh organization recognizes that, We knew that we must get in to the numbers. We must get into the statistics, that we must get in numerically and via paperwork. Not just vocally. I can tell you, you can tell me. But until we are registered, until we are recognized, that goes for naught. That will not move the needle forward. So, with the grace of Vaheguru, uh, during this census, and I would implore everyone listening, make sure you fill in the census. It takes no more than 5 minutes. Does not matter if you are a citizen or if you're a green card holder or you came through any other means. This is not an immigration test. This will not be shared with immigration officials. Does not matter if you're 1 month old or if you're 100 years old. Everyone must take part in the census. And where it asks to check your race, go on the bottom of that question and it click on some other race and write in sick. We will get our count recognized and registered to ensure that our upcoming generations, because we can't do this every month or every year. We only have to September the 30th, only about 20 more days. We cannot do this again for another 10 years. We must take advantage. Make sure we're recognized. Make sure to show that we're distinct. Get in the papers so those resources, those billions of dollars that come to communities, hundreds of billions of dollars are allocated according to the census. Representation in government, in Congress, is according to the census. Healthcare, infrastructure, roads, schools, education is according to the census. That's how they divert their resources. If we do not count, we will not get the resources. If we do count, we will get the resources. It's about getting our rights. It's about getting registered, ensuring we're there. So if anybody wishes to volunteer on any level, if anybody wishes to donate on any level, if anyone wishes to take time out on any level, in any nation across the world, in any of our projects across the world, or if you think there's an urgent project we should take on, please get in touch with us. Follow us on social media: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. It's United Six. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us. Our national hotline, if anyone has any questions, anyone is undergoing domestic abuse or needs resources. During COVID-19, during this process, we have served over 4 million meals. Our Umeed helpline is 1-888-243-1690. 1-888-243-1690. And if you have questions regarding the census, please call us because that line is always someone will attend to that call, regardless of what time it is. Or if we're not able to, you can leave a message and you will certainly get a call back as soon as possible. So, those are a few of the ways individuals can volunteer and take their time. And these are some of the projects we're involved in. So it is pertinent, it is vital, and ensure. And I would like to implore our youth. The racial justice movement is going on. There's a struggle for equality, and we've been undergoing this struggle for years and years, as have our African American brothers and sisters. But there can be nothing gained in the struggle by sitting at home. There can be nothing gained in the struggle by being silent. You must do your part. You must engage. You must act. Because not only is that the duty of a decent human, that is a duty of a Sikh. Because that is what our gurus teach us. That is what our shaheeds have taught us. That is what our forefathers have implored us to do. And that is what we must do without question.
Sardar Gurvinder Singh ji, I feel a lot of energy that when we read the history and we say, how our Sikhs did that back 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, and how our gurus did that. And you said that Guru's grace, that's how you started with the word. And I feel a lot of energy, and the energy is seva, which is you are involved in, and United States are involved in. United States
Gee,
has a very great name in the world these days, and will have more. I have one question for you. Where right now the time is rough with COVID-19, a lot of young kids
जी,
They're not in school full time, or they're doing schooling from home, or they're not in the
जी,
college, and they're going through. I think they're going through the rough time, and even adult people all ages going through the rough ages, and you have a lot of energy. I want you to say something to them, give them advice, and give them some energy, and the one you have, and you can maybe put some good words for them, and it can help people like me and somebody else.
absolutely, absolutely. I would like to say that Udam Singh ji ਅਸੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਾਰਸ ਹਾਂ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਬੰਦ-ਬੰਦ ਕਟਵਾ ਲਏ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਖੋਪੜੀਆਂ ਲਹਾ ਲਈਆਂ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਜੰਗਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਗੁਜ਼ਾਰਾ ਕੀਤਾ, ਆਪਣੀ ਉਮਰਾਂ ਬਤੀਤ ਕਰਾ ਲਈਆਂ ਜੰਗਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ. We are our forefathers are those who were cut limb from limb, who's who were scalped alive. They were boiled alive. Our generations had to survive in jungles. So that is our legacy. So when we look back at our legacy, that this is what our community went through. This is what our community underwent. This is what our gurus themselves had to go through. Guru Arjan Sahib Ji is getting boiled alive, is getting, tavi te bende ne, basically on a hot iron plate, he's made to sit. Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib Ji is beheaded. They knew what was coming. They knew what was ahead of them, yet they still walked on that path because they knew it was righteous and just and true. So as long as we know what we are doing is righteous and just and true, our forefathers, our history, our principles teach us that you must continue to do so. So there will be trials and tribulations. ਇਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ COVID-19 ਦੀ ਮਹਾਮਾਰੀ ਆ ਇਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ 100 ਸਾਲ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਪੈਨਿਸ਼ ਫਲੂ ਆਇਆ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਵਾਰ ਆਈ ਆ ਬਟ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੇ ਤਾਂ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਹਮਣਾ ਸਦਾ ਹੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਆ. There has never been a time of rest for the Sikh nation. Whether you speak about the 1600s or the 1700s or the 1800s or the 1900s or today. The Sikh nation, the Sikh Panth is under siege from somewhere or someplace or some shape or form. So we must always remain vigilant. We must always remain active. And we cannot be silent. So for my brothers and sisters, for my youth, United Sikhs has actually a tutoring program. So if you're struggling in your studies, if you're not able to acclimate to the means of your schooling, your education, and you're falling behind, or you feel like you need some resources, or you need some tutoring, or you need a big brother or big sister, United Sikhs provides those resources. So reach out to us. Those are online tutoring services for your schooling. Or if you need someone to talk to and someone to relate to, someone to provide you advice, reach out to United Sikhs. And for my adult brothers and sisters, ਸਾਡੇ ਵੀਰ ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਭੈਣਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ, if you ever feel down, Gurbani is the ultimate picker-upper. Gurbani allows you to comprehend and allows you to be tranquil and allows you to be just in such a state of mind, be a blissful state of mind that you can overcome all obstacles. And of course, recognize our history, relate to our history, understand what you are, and feel what you are, because I feel that, unfortunately, the Sikh nation has not done justice for the Sikh nation. What I mean by that is, we have not done a good job of teaching our children history. We have not done a good job of teaching our children about our forefathers. ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਕਈ ਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਧੜੱਲੇਦਾਰੀ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਉਂਦੇ, ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਦੱਸਦੇ, ਤਾਂ ਮਜਾਲ ਆ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੌਜਵਾਨ ਦੀ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਬਾਲ ਕਟਾ ਲੈਂਦਾ, ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਵਡੇਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਕੀ ਕੀਤਾ, ਸਾਡੇ ਸਿਧਾਂਤ ਕੀ ਨੇ, ਸਾਡਾ ਫਲਸਫਾ ਕੀ ਆ. It falls upon us. There's a lacking somewhere when you have such a beautiful history, when you have such a powerful history, and you're not able to relay that on. Why? Why is that? There are multiple issues. I'm not going to go into those, but I do know that because I've attended many camps, I've spoken at many camps, I've spoken to many youth, and once those youth recognize the power of their history, they recognize the power of who they are, their forefathers, They recognize and appreciate the shaheeds that have come before them, and they're going and walking beside them now. What Guru Sahibs have not only talked about what they underwent themselves and what they did themselves, the path they walked upon themselves, then they have such a awakening and an appreciation of them true selves. Then they're like, man, paji, assi ta bhatk rahe sige. Where were we walking before? So they chose then to walk upon the path of Sikhi. So when you walk upon the path of Sikhi, you recognize that trials and tribulations will come. It's not a rosy street. When I went to elementary school, middle school, high school, I was bullied. There were altercations that occurred. I was ostracized. But I knew that jehdi dastar sir te a, it taj a. There's only one king, and there are hundreds and millions of followers. Guru Sahib has made every Sikh a king. Sare Sikhan nu raja banaya ya, Kanwar banaya ya, prince banaya ya. So it is up to us that do we want to be the kings and the princes and the princesses that Guru Sahib has blessed us to be, has given us the authority to be, or do we want to be a follower? Do we want to be a lion, or do we want to be a follower? They say in the jungle, a jungle is ruled by a lion. Jungle da raja sher hunda ya. Baki sare ode piche lagde ne. Giddad hunde ne. So ਅਸੀਂ ਜਾਂ ਗਿੱਦੜ ਬਣਾਂਗੇ ਜਾਂ ਸ਼ੇਰ ਬਣਾਂਗੇ. So it's up to us. Do we want to be a lion, or do we want to be a hyena? Do we want to be a jackal? So I implore everyone that everyone has been impacted by COVID-19. Some have lost family members. Some have lost loved ones. Some have undergone it themselves and become sick and have faced the repercussions. Some have lost their jobs. Some jobs hours have been cut. Some are, standing in the unemployment line. It is difficult. There's no question. There's no question. But the Vaheguru who has created us, Vaheguru who has given us life, garv vichon jine kadya sanu, in that fire, right? From the belly of fire, right? Who has given us life? He will protect us now as well. So we must move forward diligently, passionately, and do ardas, and immerse ourselves in Gurbani, and look to our history, look to our forefathers, and then I can unequivocally state that nothing, that there will not be anything that will be able to impact us in such a way that will turn us away, or that will put us down. It may set us back a little. But it will not stop us from moving forward. And we must continue to move forward. And if there's any resources that United Sikhs as an organization can provide, please do not hesitate to reach out. This is what United Sikhs is for. Or United Sikhs de je sadi kaum nu lod pave, sade veeran nu, sadiyan bhainan nu, sade bachchian nu, sade buzurgan nu lod pave, ਤੇ ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਸਿਕਸ ਵਰਗੀਆਂ ਸੰਸਥਾਵਾਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਆ ਕੇ ਸਹਾਇਤਾ ਨਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ, ਸਹਿਯੋਗੀ ਨਾ ਬਣ ਸਕਣ, ਬਾਂਹ ਨਾ ਫੜ ਸਕਣ, ਫਿਰ ਲਾਹਣਤ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਸੰਸਥਾਵਾਂ ਤੇ. What is the use? So if you are in need of any resources that we can provide you, whether you are young or old, please do not hesitate to get in touch with us. Please do not hesitate to contact us. You can contact us via email, via our social media. Email is contact@unitedsikhs.org. Very simple. contact@unitedsikhs.org. Our number, once again, 1-888-243-1690. That's our Umeed helpline, Umeed hotline. Our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, United Sikhs. Saadi website, unitedsikhs.org. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਵੀ ਜ਼ਰੀਏ ਨਾਲ, whichever route you wish to take. Please do not be hesitant. ਇਹ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਜ਼ਰੀਏ ਦੱਸੀ ਜਾਈਏ ਪਰ ਉਹ ਜ਼ਰੀਏ ਕੋਈ ਅਪਣਾਵੇ ਨਾ. ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. Please make sure you take advantage. Never consider yourselves alone. ਅਕਾਲ ਪੁਰਖ ਕਲਗੀਆਂ ਵਾਲਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਆ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਨਿਗਾਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਤੇ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਦੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਲਿਆਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਛੱਡਣਾ, ਪਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ। We must feel that Guru Gobind Singh Ji is right beside us. He's never left us. ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਨੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਸਰਬੰਸ ਵਾਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ, ਕਿਹਦੇ ਲਈ ਵਾਰਿਆ ਆ? ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਵਾਰਿਆ ਆ। Guru Gobind Singh Ji sacrificed his whole family for who? Not for himself. He could have had all the riches in the world. Sahibzade could have had all the riches in the world. They were offered them directly. They chose no. कि पंथ वसे मैं उजड़ा, सो पंथ वसना चाहिदा, सो सानू वसना ही पैना, सानू अगे जाना ही पैना, सानू अगे वधना ही पैना, and we must make sure that we constantly recognize our history, our forefathers, our heritage, and who we are, and awaken within us to ensure that we constantly progress and move forward. And that is the vision that a United States seeks to implement within all of our community, within our calm, and hopefully that we can be of service to those who are in need.
Yes, Sardar Gurvinder Singh ji, very well said. And you had opened my eyes and ears, and you had played to all the guests, and they well understand about United Sikhs, and it's all over the world for the service and help. Um, I want to talk about your friend Sandeep Singh Taliwal, who was
Hanji,
sheriff who was sheriff deputy in Houston, Texas, and he was your friend. You
G,
worked with him in the United States. He did help the United States for a long time, and there was a
G.
in Houston. And would you tell us about Sandeep Singh Dhaliwal and just tell us how the tragedy happened and how he was involved with the communities, Sikh community, and United Sikhs, and all that. How great man he
G.
was.
Absolutely. So, ji Sandeep Singh Taliwal, maybe some people don't know that it wasn't always that he wore the star. There was a time when he didn't wear the star, and he was a deputy with Harris County, so he had the job, he had the security. He was comfortable. He could have easily have continued on, but something within him always, when he would talk to me, he was like, ਕੋਈ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਮੇਰੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਖਿੱਚ ਪਾਉਂਦੀ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਸੀਗੀ ਕਿ ਸੰਦੀਪ ਸਿੰਘ ਤੈਨੂੰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਜੀ ਪਦਵੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਆ, that Vaheguru has blessed you and given you such a position, and you're not utilizing it to the maximum potential. Why are you not utilizing it to the maximum potential? And he fought and struggled for years, for not just for a month or two, for years he struggled to be able to wear a dastar while in duty, to be able to wear a dastar while he's a deputy sheriff and representing Harris County. Not just a month here or there, not just a year here or there, struggled for many years, went through many hours of you can say litigation and moving forward and trying to in documentation and paperwork and really implementation of this of him being allowed to wear the star. So that is what Sikhi meant to him. Someone who could have easily continued with his job, continued doing what he was doing, and not even worried about what was going outside. He could have raised his family, and he could have, sat on the sidelines and lived a good life. But he knew that life is much more than worrying and caring about yourself and looking after yourself. He knew that he must do something for his people and his community. So he decided he will struggle for the dastar, and he won that decision. And not only did he win that right, because of him, thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions now were able to find out who a Sikh is. Sandeep Singh met us while we were working and serving during Hurricane Harvey in Houston. And, there were hundreds of volunteers there, and, our United States team was there, and truckloads of supplies were coming in from California and from Ohio, New Jersey, and Kansas City, and Indiana, so many cities we cannot even name, from Texas, obviously. And Sandeep Singh was in the center of it all. He was leading and organizing. He was going live on Facebook, and he even told his bosses that, look, I'm a deputy sheriff. What does a deputy sheriff do? A deputy sheriff serves his community. What better way is there for me to serve my community than to provide those who do not have anything with something? Than to provide those who are screaming and in pain, to give them some balm. To those who are extending their hand in, just hoping that someone will hold their hand and lift them up. If I lift them up, what is better than that? So for not just for days, for weeks and months at a time, he also went to Puerto Rico to serve the region when Puerto Rico was devastated by Hurricane Maria. He also helped the United States with our work in Punjab with the cancer camps that were held. So Sandeep Singh Taliwal was the director of the Homeland Security Department for United States. To ensure how do we provide training to gurdwaras, how do we provide training to the Sikh community to ensure they're able to protect themselves and that they know their rights. So he traveled to Seattle, he traveled to the Yuba City Nagar Kirtan, he traveled all across the states, he traveled to Punjab. He carried the message of service. He was such a humble person, such a humble person. ਇੰਨੀ ਨਿਮਰਤਾ ਸੀਗੀ ਕਿ ਝੁੱਕ ਕੇ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲਣਾ, ਫਤਿਹ ਬੁਲਾਉਣੀ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ, ਪਿਆਰ ਨਾਲ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ, ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਐਵੇਂ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਕਈ ਅਰਸਿਆਂ ਤੋਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਨੇ. When you talked to him, it felt like you knew Sandeep Singh from, he was your childhood friend. He would never make it seem he had a position of authority, even though he was recognized by everyone, even though he was a deputy sheriff. He made it seem like he was just a friend, just someone who was there to help you. And he would always offer his assistance, always. When we went to his funeral, it's going to be a year anniversary. It was held in an auditorium, in a convention center, with 20,000 people. The senator from Texas, attorney general from New Jersey, congressmen from all over Texas, the mayor of Houston. It was attended by, if not hundreds, I would say thousands of law enforcement officials, some that had actually come from Brampton, Canada, from California, from Washington. Not just Sikh law enforcement officials. We're talking about Caucasian. We're talking about African American, talking about Hispanic. It was filled to the brim because that showed you the impact that Sandeep Singh Taliwal had. That showed you, because, there are many police officers, unfortunately, that may lose their lives during their time of service. But Sandeep Singh Taliwal was something beyond just his duty as a deputy sheriff. He knew his duty as a human. He knew his goal as a Sikh. And he every day went about to ensure that whoever he interacts with, they see his dastar and they recognize that someone who wears a dastar is someone who is there to help. That someone who wears a dastar is someone who is there to assist. That someone who wears a dastar is someone who is there to uplift. Because if anybody ran into Sandeep Singh Taliwal, whenever they would meet another Sikh, they would appreciate and they would come across that individual who was a Sikh and thank them and say and just appreciate them for being themselves. Why? Because Sandeep Singh Taliwal was such a role model, was such a magnetic personality that he spoke volumes for Sikhi. ਉਹ ਬਿਨਾਂ ਕੁਝ ਬੋਲਿਓ ਵੀ ਇੰਨਾ ਕੁਝ ਬੋਲ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਸੀਗੇ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਚਰਿੱਤਰ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਬੋਲ ਚਾਲ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਤੋਰ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਤਰੀਕੇ, the way he went about his business. Because they say, don't tell me who you are, show me who you are. You don't need to tell me what kind of work you do, show me what kind of work you do. And Sandeep Singh Taliwal not only showed Houston and Harris County, not only showed Texas, not only showed the United States, but he showed the world who Sikhs are. I don't think we have worked for 20, 30, 40 years as a Sikh community in the United States to let people know ਕਿ ਯਾਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਇਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਕਾਰਜ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਸਟੇਟਸ ਨੇ ਕਿਤੇ ਭਚਾਲ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਕਿਤੇ ਤੂਫਾਨ ਆ ਗਿਆ there's a hurricane that strikes somewhere we go why to show ਕਿ ਯਾਰ ਸਿੱਖ ਇਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਦਸਤਾਰ ਬਣਦੇ ਨੇ ਸਿਰ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ Sandeep Singh's life and Sandeep Singh's passing did more for the proliferation or more to create awareness for the Sikh Panth than maybe we have done in the last 30 or 40 years combined. I don't think there was anyone that did not know who a Sikh was, whether it was CNN, MSNBC, Fox, whether it was the Washington Post, New York Times, anybody and everybody, all news outlets covered Sandeep Singh. They all had a story about Sandeep Singh. They all wrote something. They all spoke something about Sandeep Singh. Bhai Sahab, I was actually in Canada at the time he passed away, and Sandeep was going to be coming with us because we were talking about the Punjab floods and letting the Sangat know about the Punjab floods. And if you can believe it or not, this is Canada, and we were in close to Edmonton, and we were coming back. And while I was coming back, you have to check in at the security. And the individual, he saw the shirt I was wearing, United States. He saw I was wearing a dastar, and he looked at me very sad. He said, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I was like, I'm sorry. He was like, I'm so sorry for your loss. The deputy sheriff that passed away. So if you can imagine somebody in Canada, in the, who's checking in for the individuals who are leaving and departing on their flights, who works at the airport, he knew and he found out about Sandeep Singh. So we can just imagine what kind of impact he had and has on the world. And United States is obliged and privileged to have worked with him. I am privileged and appreciate and thank Vaheguru for enabling me to meet him, from being able to call him my friend, my brother, being able to spend time with him. And we are ensured that we will carry his legacy forward. We have something called the Hero Fund, which is honoring emergency response officers. Hero, something he wanted to start, and something he started and built the game plan and built the foundation of. And that is something we will be carrying on to assist those fallen officers in the line of duty, those first responders, to ensure that they're not alone. Because he said, Paji, जद भी किते कोई चीज ਹੁੰਦੀ है ना ਇਹ ਪੁਲਿਸ ਵਾਲੇ these fire officials or these paramedics, they're on the front lines. Some they have to leave their families. They have to go about their business. They cannot stay home and help their own families many times. Let's make sure we don't leave them alone and they're not stranded. So that is a legacy he has left behind that United States will continue to carry forward. And there's a Hero project that is separate, that is going to be moving that needle. And I just cannot say enough about the time we have spent and the work that Sandeep Singh was able to do in such a short time. His years of life lived on this earth were not many, but the life he lived in those years is immeasurable and will be felt for years to come. He indeed left a legacy, and these are the brothers and sisters who empower us to make sure we keep moving on, that we will not stay silent, that we will not sit idle, that we will continue to progress. And that is what we owe to them. That is what we owe to them, because that is a debt that we must pay them, because they have done so much for us that we owe them that. And we must make sure that we ensure that we continue their legacy and keep moving forward, because that is what they wanted to do, because that is what they did that is what they did themselves.
Yes, Sardar Gurvinder Singh ji, thank you for your coming to the show, and thank you for your service in United Sikhs, and talking about Paji Sandeep Singh Taliwal, and telling us about 2020 census, and
जी,
all the energy you let us know, and we feel it. We feel it that the seva is energy, energy is seva, and what a great man, and you're a good person. You're healthy. You're happy. You're doing a lot of things. You're a busy man,
जी.
and you make me proud. I haven't met you, but I'd like to meet you someday. And next time we bring you on the show, I want you to bring on a video because I know you're
Sure.
very busy. That's why you come.
Absolutely. नहीं नहीं जी, I
And
mean, I appreciate it, Udam Singh ji, again. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes, sir.
uh, like एक पिता एक इसके हम बारक एक पिता एक इसके हम बारक
जी,
अब तू मेरा गुरहाई सब we are
जी.
one father and we are his children and we are brothers sisters all and thank you for doing the great things and I want to say thank you coming to the show and thank you for the technical support and you be welcome anytime on the show again and we will try again. Thank you.
Thank thank you so much. And once again, I would just like to implore and ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਓ ਯੂਨਾਈਟਿਡ ਸਟੇਟਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੂਰੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰੋ ਯੋਗਦਾਨ ਪਾਓ do what you can whether it's a little whether it's a lot everything makes a difference everything makes an impact we owe it to our brothers like Sandeep Singh Taliwal we owe it to our faith we owe it to our gurus let's make sure that we walk upon the path that the gurus have blessed us with. ਤੇ ਊਧਮ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਧੰਨਵਾਦ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਜੀ a sincere gratitude for allowing us to speak giving us this platform and allowing us to create this outreach to our community and ਆਪਣਾ ਸਾਂਝਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ for being such a vibrant and great medium of media for our community. It is certainly appreciated. We are indebted. We are very thankful, and I certainly aspire to meet you sooner than later, Udam Singh ji. Thank you once again, and thank you on behalf of the entire organization. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh ji.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you.